Walt Disney World news time. Yes, indeed, it is breaking Disney news for you. I can't believe it myself, but the day has finally come. And oh yes, hello everyone. It's Wade for the Kingdom Report, joining you once again. We were with you earlier today for a general Disney Parks news update where we were focusing on stories both from Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And today, as we were touching on the story, that Disney CEO Bob Chapek was excited about the recent announcement from the CDC and the White House, saying that, if you're fully vaccinated, it's time to remove your mask. It's time to take that baby off and go breathe freely and go be indoors, outdoors, go have some fun and get back to a sense of normalcy. It was a wonderful announcement. I know everybody couldn't wait to hear it, and now it has finally occurred. Bob Chapek, being in the quarterly earnings call for Disney, was asked about the specifics on what Disney had planned, and again, he said he was just very ecstatic to hear that the CDC had moved forward with this announcement, because no doubt this allows so much for Disney parks, so much more, I should say, for Disney parks in terms of capacity, in terms of moving things around and allowing for a little bit more freedom back into their parks, because they've had to be, unfortunately, the enforcers of things that a lot of people just didn't want to do to begin with. They're in the hospitality business, they're not in the enforcement business, and so now they don't necessarily have to be nearly as much as they were. And I know Bob Chapek, amongst all the Disney executives and no doubt the park employees, are probably thrilled with that news. Something to point out is that throughout the last year and a half, Walt Disney World has maintained its own very high standards of health and safety measures that they've kept in place the entire time, even while the state of Florida has rolled back restrictions and removed things outright and said businesses don't have to do this if they don't want to, but it's up to them. They're their own business, they can do as they'd like. Walt Disney World as a theme park venue, probably for the sake of just trying to do everything as safe as possible and going out of their way to be overly cautious, no doubt kept a lot of things in effect far longer than they even needed to. But now they are in a position where it looks like not only are they rolling back the 6-foot markers, as we talked about today in the news update, and how the 6-foot distancing doesn't necessarily have to be there anymore. In addition to that, the other big news story, which is why we're here now, is that, yes, ladies and gentlemen, finally, and we were thinking about how soon this was going to happen based on Bob Chapek's reaction to the CDC news, and even saying, hey, Florida, that heat during summertime with a face mask on, it's kind of unbearable, right? He gets it. We were kind of anticipating the news to come down the line, certainly not within a day. But this is fantastic, and Fox 35 out of Orlando, as well as the Walt Disney World Resort, are reporting that face coverings for guests at Walt Disney World Resort will no longer be required when outdoors beginning on Saturday. That is May 15th. I will repeat that for you. Face coverings for guests at Walt Disney World Resort will no longer be required when outdoors beginning on Saturday. And similar to an announcement made earlier Friday by Universal Orlando, masks will still be required when indoors and in ride queues. So that's something specific that they need to point out, because the masks aren't gone entirely, but certainly from the hottest of the locations, from the warmest of atmospheres, face masks will now be something you can choose whether or not you'd like to wear. Disney said in a statement sent to Fox 35, quote, starting May 15th, face coverings for guests will be optional in outdoor common areas at Walt Disney World Resort, with the exception that guests must wear face coverings from the entrances at all attractions, theaters, or transportation, and throughout those experiences, closed quote. Based on these updates, guests are still expected to bring a face covering with them for their visit. Social distancing guidelines still apply, and as we just mentioned, are still in effect to a certain degree, although reduced and relaxed. And you can certainly visit Disney's Know Before You Go webpage at waltdisneyworld.com for all the latest details and information on how they are maintaining health and safety guidelines during this very unique time, certainly as times, again, continue to slowly go back to a sense of normal. Just wonderful news in general. And of course, face coverings for guests at Universal Orlando will no longer be required when outdoors beginning on Saturday as well. So, fantastic news across the board. Terrific to hear this step has been taken, because this was, I think, a major drawback to a lot of people for the sake of whether or not they were going to visit Walt Disney World and now Disneyland. Of course, Disneyland still quite a restricted zone, still very different. California only just recently allowed Disneyland to reopen. California has had its own set of, let's just say, far more severe restrictions, far more intense mandates that they've had in place. Far different from Florida has been. Reminder, Walt Disney World theme parks reopened in July 2020, and Disneyland Resort in California reopened 2 weeks ago. So things have been very different, handled very differently, we should say, from coast to coast. At any rate, everything is moving in the right direction finally. Everything is finally getting back to a place where normalcy is, well, we can see it, right? We can certainly see it, we can hear it, we can feel it, and it is time to return to a place that we've all been waiting to return, and that is a pre-pandemic lifestyle. Certainly, precautions still in place, certainly a location that, while you have lots and lots of people all coming to one spot in general, and not everybody is choosing to get vaccinated, not everybody is vaccinated at the moment, and that there are still plenty who would like to. The point here is that now you can if you'd like. There are more vaccines available than anybody needs at the moment, which is fantastic here in the United States. So terrific news. And now that that is available to everybody and these restrictions have been rolled back, and the CDC guidance backs up the idea that you can be outside without the mask on and it's okay. And if you're fully vaccinated, you can go indoors and outdoors, outside of Disney parks that is, without your mask on. Again, everything trending in the right direction. We will certainly keep our eye on this story and update you as we see more trickle in from Walt Disney World. No doubt we are waiting to hear more from the Disneyland Resort out west. Of course, things could be far slower to get back into effect there. However, we do know coming up June 15th, about a month from today, June 15th, it does sound like the state of California is officially, as they say, back in business, open for business again, is how the state is framing it, and also moving to a no mask mandate when it comes to June 15th. However, they made that announcement before the CDC made their announcement that now fully vaccinated people can be without a mask indoors, outdoors, and pretty much wherever they would like. At any rate, how excited are you to hear that common areas will no longer need you to wear a face mask inside Walt Disney World theme parks? We'd love to hear your perspective down below in the comments. Also, are you somebody that it's going to take you a while to feel comfortable with these changes? Everything's happening very quickly, so I think it's also very important to realize that there's probably a big portion of the population who's been kind of put into a place in the last year and a half of tremendous anxiety, right? And I think Disney has tried to placate to that for the longest time, keeping their own standards in place. But now things are happening so fast, I can see how this might be a little overwhelming for some folks that weren't quite ready yet. But I do know that there's a big segment of the population that can't wait to jump back into more semblances of normalcy and feel like we used to feel, right? So it's terrific news all around. Again, leave your perspective in the comments. We always appreciate it. We try to respond to pretty much anybody that comes in and shares their thoughts with us. Well, my friends, that about wraps it up for this breaking news update. For more Disney Parks news and all things Walt Disney World and Disneyland, check out the rest of the channel as well as KingdomReportLive.com. For the Kingdom Report, I'm Wade Heath. We'll see you next time for another Disney Parks news update.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.